thanks for having us back on. Appreciate that.
No, thank you for coming back on. I can't believe. When did we last do it? What, about a year and a half ago?
Can't remember. You came around and did the record thing.
Yeah, that was like January, I think. A couple of months before everything kicked off.
Yeah.
Didn't feel like the world was about to end.
Yeah.
Are you still doing your radio show from home?
I am. Yeah, I am. Right from right here.
How you get? Are you once a week? Yeah.
Once a week, aye. It's a bit of a laugh. I didn't really take it that seriously to begin with, and I don't know if I do yet. I'm definitely putting in my shift. I'm done 40 radio shows or something like that. And
whoa.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It's good.
So you just started doing it in lockdown? Was it like a thing that started up after this kicked off?
Yeah, they got in touch. I mean, I had a bit of a relationship with them already, and then they just asked if I was interested in putting together a wee sort of, call it artists in lockdown thing. So yeah, I did it. Did a couple of shows, and I didn't say any swear words, so they decided to let me keep doing it. It's all right. And I don't prepare it at all. I just on the Tuesday night, I remember, I'm supposed to do a radio show, and then I just sit and have a couple of beers and play tunes and talk shite. And it's good. It's good crack.
So do you have the playlist prepped before it, or do you kind of just go completely off the fly?
On the fly, basically. I mean, I'll be going through the week and wee bits and pieces, wee ideas, wee songs. I think, I'll play that, I'll put it on. But most of the time, I'm just totally on the fly. I've seat the pants. Very low. They've asked me to do it, and I think they know my vibe, and it's very low stakes, I think. And they like it so far, so that's it.
Do you have anything else like that in your life that's kind of completely creatively free? Like a project that you can give yourself to, but there's no pressure with it.
I need to have more things that are like that. Are we officially started here? This sounds like good
We
chat.
always just dive in.
Okay, cool. If we're in official mode, I'll put my official answering mode hat on. And I think I need some more things like that where there's no pressure or very little pressure, and it's just a fun thing, because pressure can sort of eat up and kind of poison things that are supposed to be cathartic and fun. It's actually, as a matter of fact, getting onto the topic at hand, that's sort of what our new song's about. Broadly speaking, it's about that kind of phenomenon of pressure and overthought seeping into something that's supposed to be cathartic and therapeutic and good, and kind of spoiling it a little bit. So yeah, I think a low pressure project would be great. I keep toying with the idea of having a brutal, horrible heavy metal project that I just throw out in a day with a drummer, and then that'll be it. No pressure. Doesn't matter if it's good or not.
A little bit Paul Bearer-esque.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's really intense and well orchestrated. If I was doing something like that, if I was doing a Doom project, which I also think about doing, I think I would take care that it was good and high quality. I'm talking about just like plugging in, turning up, sharting out some riffs, and not, doesn't matter if it's terrible or not. It's just for fun, That's there's catharsis there, and that's nice.
It'd probably be a different kind of catharsis as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's a catharsis in producing something you're super proud of and the end product, but there's a lot of turmoil, and there's a war, there's a battle to get to that point. But if you're just like having a completely no stakes, no pressure project, you can just fire something out, then it's just fun. But really, I suppose I should be treating my main project like that, and that's the truest sort of manifestation of soul, right? It should be that, should be instantaneous expression. And once again, that's exactly what our most recent song is about. And it's obviously a topic that's quite close to the surface for me, this idea of pressure spoiling these things that are supposed to be like nice and cathartic. So trying to retain catharsis, trying not let pressure and overthought spoil and ruin catharsis.
I guess pressure's inevitable though, because as soon as you need to care about it in order for it to be good, and as soon as you care about it, there's going to be a pressure that comes with that. Yeah,
you need to care about to a certain degree, but certainly not giving a fuck to a certain degree is very, very important as well. It's very important, and caring sort of too much and overthinking is the arrow through the heart of creative expression and of artistic catharsis. Definitely, for sure, and it's valuable to remember that.
Was that something Battle Weapons was kind of addressing as well? Because it's something that feels kind of pretty raw and open and free. And
yes, absolutely. That's a project from last year. Yeah, that was the Bat Weapons was sort of a sister project to. They were both two halves of the same project. It was Battle Weapons, this Caveman song, which is the saddest, most serene and darkest bit of music that we've done. And then the polar opposite was just these immediate, super... The term we use quite a lot, I don't have a better term to describe it, but it's just sharted out, right? This is the term we use, sharted out. Just like, fling it out, fling a canvas, bang, there you go. There you go. And that is the catharsis in that, and that's beautiful in its own sense. And the battle weapons are very immediate and very quickly created, and there was a lot of catharsis in the creation of that, because a lot of the other stuff is painstaking and agonizing to create, because you're trying to create perfection, which is obviously never achievable. Whereas something like the battle weapons is exactly an example of that. So actually, that's quite a good point. I never really thought about it in that way. Super immediate, super cathartic creations. Done. Make it. Move on. You know, that's a nice tenet to be able to observe and follow if you're a creative person. But very, very difficult. Very, very difficult for a lot of artists, and it causes them to get blocked up. The sort of pressure and overthought certainly caused me to get blocked up in a similar way. And this song, this new single, is a kind of an answer to that, as a response to that, to myself. And it's like, what I've realised recently is a lot of the songs I'm writing are just like memos to myself to remember, fucking Tom, stop being a dick, stop overthinking things, fucking enjoy. Like another one would be like speaking to me. It's like I need to leave these post-it notes for myself. You leave lying around, except it's not post-it notes. It's like I sing the song, and then I remember, oh yeah, that's that lesson that I learned that time that I completely forget. So that's what they all sort of start to serve as, this kind of reminders to myself, post-it notes to myself to, you know, live in the moment, or stop overthinking, or just fucking have a good time. You know what I mean? That's the idea.
Is it easier to not overthink when you're part of a group and you're kind of creating with other individuals?
Yes. I think certainly having somebody to bounce off allows you to helps you make decisions quicker, instead of just ruminating and overthinking one decision. Is this shite or is it good? You can just ask them, and they say yes, it is shite, or no, it's good, and then you move on from there. So it certainly that's it's a valuable thing for me, and a sort of just in a bouncing off way in order to make calls on something that I might otherwise sit and ruminate and agonize over for weeks. And that's actually sort of the situation I did find myself in over the summer, you know, because like we were just completely locked down. We couldn't get in a room together, we couldn't rehearse. So I was just here in my house, right here, just making loads of demos and writing lots and lots of songs, but completely solitarily, writing songs for a band, but just by myself, and not being able to bounce off anybody, and get myself in these agonizing decisions about something that doesn't really matter. And you know, there's a certain self-torture in that, right? I don't know if there's other artists that can sort of relate to that, but it's a certain self-torture, just like, what should I go with this, and then just sticking, not making a call in a single path, and then just
get stuck in a loop.
Yes, or leaving every possible option open to reassessing. But if you're in a group, or if you're doing things quickly, if you're doing working in a cathartic way, and being creative that way, a large part of the process is being able to make a call, cutting off an option and saying, right, this is where we're going, making a call and feeling confident with it. But you know, without that bouncing off people, I could get caught in that sort of loop. And as a result of that kind of loop, kind of cyclic thinking, my revelation at the end of that was, fucking, these little wee tiny little bits don't matter. Really, at the end of the day, is the expression of what you're doing with a song. What I think I'm supposed to be doing with a song is for me to just fucking sing it, just sing and do a genuine expression of soulful experience, and trying to impart that in another person. And like all the music and all the little bits, little intricacies of the music or the arrangement, they're all just it's just a platform, like a medium or a vehicle in which I can project this sort of soulful, instantaneous experience moment, you know. So that's kind of the revelation I came to. Stop thinking about all these tiny little, should I do this chord change or should I do this chord change, and think about that for a week. Doesn't matter. I think this is a sort of premise that can be applied, I guess, across a lot of different things, not just like making music or listening to music. It's just anything that people derive joy or pleasure from, but they can overthink it to the point that it's lost its value. I think this is the way I'm trying to supplant relatability retrospectively on my own revelations about, you know, writing music.
When you have that revelation though about the intricacies maybe don't feel quite as important and you need to kind of look past them in order to get to something genuine, how does that impact the momentum of your writing process and the kind of speed at which you're moving at? It
immediately becomes faster. And for example, with this song, I mean, I feel like I'm coming back to it all the time here, like a true person on a campaign trail. And just back to the song. This song that we're releasing very soon.
Is that also because it's in your mind though?
It's also in my mind. Yeah, I've just come from rehearsal and I've just it's definitely on my mind. I've been basically selling this track with press releases to millions of people who don't want them for the past 3 weeks. So yeah, it's very, very much in the forefront of my mind. Yeah, the process becomes immediately more succinct and faster, as long as I keep to that kind of premise of just making a call and running with it and feeling confident with it, and just focusing on what's the important element of it, which is me being able to sing a song with, you know, guts and soul. And yeah, it's all come about from, I'm talking about Super Soul Vehicle, a new single from Tom Mcguire and Brassholes, out on the 12th of March. Available for all streaming platforms. I'm talking about this song, right? It's come about, the revelation that we're talking about, it sort of came about when I was in the midst of this sort of creative turmoil and getting all tied up in knots and you know, agonizing over tiny little decisions and just losing perspective of what's the important part. It was around about a year ago, and it was actually Bill Withers passed away. So Bill Withers is obviously one of the classics, one of the greats, and you know, I've always been a big fan of his, and it was obviously sad to hear. But you know, I know a little bit about him. I'd watched the documentary before, but there was lots of sort of testimonials or whatever you want to call them on the internet or on television. Sort of what's that word when they talk about a person who's just died, like at the end of the news?
I know what you mean. It's like a retrospective of their life.
Yeah, whatever it is, I'm sure.
I don't know what the exact phrase is.
Well, we can find the word and then you can edit it in later. I'm saying it right now. So there's lots of
seamless.
There was lots of about Bill Withers at the time, and there's one thing that was popping out to me. It's like Bill Withers wrote loads and loads and loads of rad songs, and he did lots of really soulful, good, important music. But a lot of it really wasn't complex at all. And he was on a chat show, maybe it was Parkinson's or something like that, talking about his guitar playing. He's like, I don't know how to play guitar. I don't know how to play guitar. I mean, I just play. I know exactly as much as I need to in order to accompany myself and sing a song. You know what I mean? And that was just struck me like, that's it. He's right. And that's what I should be doing. I should just be doing what I need to do to provide myself accompaniment in order to be able to fucking take what's in my soul and blast it out at people who are listening, or not listening. But at the very least, it's for me to expound that, and if people then catch that and hopefully receive something beneficial from it, that's good. But that's where the catharsis is for me, and hopefully I think the valuable enjoyment is for other people. So just stripping it all back, thinking, right, I don't need to worry about all this complicated stuff. Bill Withers didn't worry about it. He just did what he needed to do, made the simplest music he needed to do, got a sick band behind him to just play it super grooving, and then just sang well, honestly, and authentically and legitimately from his soul, and that rang true for me. So that's what happened with this song. I was just I said, right, okay, well, whenever I find myself going off on a wee tangent of harmonic intricacy or get myself in a wee path, I'm just going to stop myself and say, no, this one's got to be simple. So I was like, I'm keeping this one simple. I'm making a point of keeping this one simple, get myself back on track in order to just like have it be a some sort of union between me and the universe through song. You know what I mean? But obviously that's quite a highfalutin way to talk about it. But you know what I'm saying? Everything else is just merely a vehicle, and that's what the song became. The song became about the song being a vehicle for me to just fucking explode my soul out to people. And that's it. So the writing process, I made rules for myself. It's got to be simple. Okay, it's super simple chord sequence, probably the simplest one I've made a song out of, and that's good and valuable. Because, as I said, it's merely a platform, a jumping off point for me to get rad. You know what I mean?
What you're saying there with it being a simple chord sequence, do the number of chords in a song direct the melody in any way?
They can do. I mean, I think quite often when I'm writing that, I do start with a guitar thing or a chord sequence, and then build on top of that, then see if there's some sort of melody or some sort of lyric that I can sing over the top. And if there is something that jumps out at me, then okay, well, maybe I'll start with the chorus, and then that'll be me away. And if I can't really get anything to stick over the top of it, then no matter how rad the riff is, no matter how grooving the thing is, like if I can't get a song over the top of it, there's no point, so it gets shit canned. So yeah, there's got to be a song over the top, because I think that's the important thing. I guess a lot of music that's in the same vein as our music is, there's not really meaningful songs there, and I guess that's what I've always tried to do, is have sick fucking instrumental, super grooving stuff, but also like a real song about a real thing that matters, and it's not just about dancing or, you know, shagging or whatever other funk songs are about. You know what I mean? It's about the intrinsic struggles of being a man in the 20th century, or whatever century it is.
Do you approach every song individually? Because when you look at your record, there's kind of this interlocking, interweaving thing going on. There's a lot of ideas crossing over, and they're all kind of feeding into each other. Is it a different process when you're coming at a single like this as one song, or was it written as a body of work?
Yeah, I think that I mean over the summer I have written 30 or 40 songs.
Woo!
I mean, like, not all of them are good. Some of them are shite, let's be honest. But so like from them, there's an album's worth in there definitely that we're working on with the band to get. We're going to be just releasing singles throughout the year, and hopefully pull them together in an album at some point. Yeah, if they're all written in a big batch like that, then whatever struggles, whatever things I'm thinking about or going through, they all kind of knit together. And there does become a sort of conceptual thread that runs through them. And you know, I'm not sitting down and writing one song. Okay, writing this one song, that's that done. Then I'll move on to the next one. It's like for a number of a month or 6 months or even a year, I've just got like 10 or 15 different songs at various stages of development, all floating about, waiting to get fucking finished or seen to. So there's a lot of crossover themes and even terminology. So yeah, from one song to the next, it will reference the same metaphor for the same thing. That's sort of half consciously doing that, but then after the fact, I can say, well, okay, but actually these, you know, I've got like four songs, I think, that all could exist as a sort of, you know, a preconceived suite, right? I mean, I don't know if I'll actually be able to put them out. That seems too pretentious, but they're all more or less about broadly speaking, a similar kind of topic, which is like having conversations with myself at various stages of my life from different perspectives. You know, like I've got one where I'm talking to a version of myself from a couple of years ago who had written in a notebook, like, you know, knowing that I would read the notebook again, writing in a notebook saying, right, Tom, in the future, have you fucking worked out? Because I'm fucked here. This is all a mess. Don't know what I'm doing. And then I went back and read that, and I was, you know, basically started a dialogue with myself. So I got a song about that. Then I got another song about, you know, the 80-year-old version of myself looking back at me now, clouded and overthought, and not really ever in the moment because I'm too busy worrying about, you know, fucking Instagram or some bullshit. And so that there's another, so basically, and then there's another couple other songs that are all on the same idea of looking and conversing with past or future versions of myself, crossing over each other and knitting together to form some sort of big, weird, trans-dimensional, temporal identity spaghetti.
We're getting a little bit Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, actually, I'm reading. Do we speak about Kurt Vonnegut once before? I guess we did.
Yeah, I think we touched upon the reference to him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually reading a Kurt Vonnegut book now, and maybe that's why I'm some of the shit that's coming out of my mouth is so bonkers. I can't wait to hear what, like, I might have to look back at the audio of what I've just said there and see if it makes any sort of sense. Sounded good when I was saying it, but well, I don't know.
That makes sense. No. What you were saying there though about your younger self, writing in the notebook, were you asking your future self questions?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. I was, I guess, at a time of particular feeling of lostness and not knowing what the point was in anything, and is there anything but futility, and I just basically addressed it to myself and then left the next page blank and then completely forgot about it for a number of years. I just happened to revisit it at a time where I was pretty much killing it. The band was doing good. We just released the debut record and we'd sold out at QMU, so I was like on a high. I was thinking, great, good, I'm doing something, I'm taking a risk with my life and I'm doing something good with it, and it's pretty killer. And I came across this notebook again, and it was like sitting across from myself and having a conversation with myself and trying to comfort my poor, downtrodden past self, but and see, everything's gonna be fine. You end up fucking pulling it together, it's all cool. But then since then, that's the thing. So I sort of wrote that song a little bit, but then since then I had, in the past year or two, things happening, and I just have a fucking another dip, and it's okay. Well, actually, it's not so good. But then I come back up again, so I had to go back and rewrite that song again from a third perspective. So this is it. So it's actually a pretty. I think this is a song that's going to come out in summer, and it's a quite optimistic song, right? Because it's quite. But it's very tempered, The first version I wrote was like the vibe was everything's going to be all right, and this is what I was just screaming from the mountaintops. Everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be just fine, right? And that was the first version. And then since I've had to go back and revisit it, the sentiment is very much now everything's going to be all right, more or less, like some of the time at least, you know what I mean? Like it's become less of a everything's going to work out just fine forever. It's going to be like, it's going to be okay, but then it's going to go back down again, and then it's going to go up and down, but it's okay because when it's low, it's going to get back up again because it's been down and up a few times before, and it'll do it again. You know what I mean? So that's it. That's going to be one we're dropping this summer, and hopefully it'll be well received. It's not just going to go right over people's heads, but that's what I mean. Like that's one of these songs that's going to act as a sort of post-it note for me every time I sing it, just to remember, if I'm in a fucking shit zone, well, I've been in shit zones before, and come back up, and it's I was at the lowest point I thought it could be, and then a number of years later I was absolutely killing it, and then I'll go down again, and I thought, you can't possibly, this is it, can't get any lower than this. Well, I've been low before and come back up and it crushed it, so I crushed it before and maybe I'll crush it again. You know what I mean? So that's the ethic of the songs. That's the message I'm spitting out to other people. You'll be alright again, but it's for me to hear again and remind myself, oh shit, that's right. So that's it. That's what I mean about the songs being kind of post-it notes for me to remember how to live. Yeah.
That sounds a little bit like what Caveman was about too.
Yes.
Kind of in a similar thematic territory.
Yes, and that's another, actually that's true. That's another one that came back to it twice over a couple of years. I mean, it's been a while since I thought about that one, but certainly that is talking to a different version. It's not less of a sort of temporal version of myself, like less of a manifestation in time, but just speaking to the sadder self, which is always there. It's rather it's an acknowledgement of both versions of oneself simultaneously, and try not to ignore that other version who needs care when things are good. So that's it. It's acknowledging and accepting that part of one's self and the duality of human condition, or something like that.
What prompted you to embrace that? Was it like an experience that kind of drove you to that revelation?
It might have been.
That's kind of a song that song's kind of written from a point of reflection, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's written once you've already gotten to that point.
I think it's maybe that's came about maybe from the similar sort of up down, the peak and trough nature of well, certainly my life. I'm sure everyone's got it to a certain degree, but that kind of when things are high, everything's flying high. There may be a tendency to just like, first of all, ignore the fact that things were shit, or deny it, or even be embarrassed about it, be embarrassed or ashamed about it, which is an error. I think you can't ignore that version of yourself, because it is still you, and it might be you again. And I guess when things are good, it's still time to sort of do some preparation work for when it might be shite again. So I think that's the sort of the ethic behind that one. And I think that hopefully that's the broad message that I've got across. People do not invalidate or be ashamed of those parts of themselves which cause them to be fucking pretty grimly miserable. Because that person is perhaps the version of you that needs the most care, the most love. And that was it. So everyone's talking about self-love and self-care, and when you're in a good mood, everything's fine, it's like, oh cool, I feel good, I'm gonna have a bath, I'm gonna take care of myself. When you feel shite about yourself, you think you feel shite and worthless, then you're incapable of that sort of self-care. You're just hating yourself. It's self-loathing rather than self-care. So if somebody's got to care for that person, it's got to be the version of you that is okay, that is capable of that sort of self-care. Because if you're in a self-loathing, a worthlessness sort of zone, you're not capable. So the other version has to do at least some preparatory work for that poor, downtrodden, worthless version of oneself.
It's interesting though, because you look at that in the video too.
Yeah.
Like in terms of the way that you'll place two very similar, basically parallel images in different contexts. It's the same thing when you're in that headspace. An experience could happen to you when you're feeling like shit and it seems awful. The same experience could happen to you when you're feeling happy and it feels okay.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a good reading of that. Yeah, that's a good video. I'm very proud of that video. It's quite an ambitious thing, and it's a good piece of work. I'm glad it's out there and will be there until YouTube finishes. But that's exactly it. It's two parallel versions of the same person. One outwardly outgoing and happy and good, and the other one looking like shit and really miserable and grey and sallow-eyed. But both more or less going through similar experiences, parallel side-by-side split screen. And that's one reading of it. That the same experiences could be had by different versions of the same person. But also another possible angle of it, I can't remember if this is what I was aiming for, but it's definitely an interpretation I'm thinking about now, is that the sort of happy rad version, the guy in the pink suit just looking like he's killing it, to also recognize that could be a front, this is just an outward thing, and within that super outwardly outgoing thing, there is also almost certainly a great sadness there lurking just underneath. It's the sort of tears of the clown thing. I remember I was sort of struggling at the time because I was seen as this outgoing, vivacious, bodacious character, fucking pink suit, foot on the monitor, screaming in front of a room of people, right? But actually, there's a great turmoil, great rootless sadness in there somewhere. But that would never be recognized or acknowledged. So I guess maybe that was me doing a sort of, the people who are outgoing and vivacious, maybe keep an eye on them too, because there might well be something really shit going right underneath the surface. But some of the most vivacious characters are the ones that have got the most heavy duty shit going on. Robin Williams, stuff like that.
That's exactly who I was thinking of there. That's it. I can't remember. That might have been a sort of stimulus for that song at some point in writing. I can't remember, but that's definitely that sort of Tears of the Clown.
Yeah, exactly it.
It's interesting though, because that's kind of the song written, in terms of the kind of soundscape of that song, it feels like it's written from the point of view of the person who's maybe slightly more downtrodden on the outside. But then a few months later, after it comes out, you put up Rise Up.
Yeah.
Which is essentially kind of looking at it in parallel from the person on the happy side of things, or who's vivacious on the outside, like you say.
Actually, that's another one. Rise Up. Not a lot of people have talked about that. It was quite a low key release. Obviously, it was like a. Thanks for mentioning it though, because I want people to know about it and hear it, and I don't think a vast majority have, because it's sort of a lockdown release. We did it all in lockdown and sort of recorded it all remotely, and made the video as such. But so it's a super upbeat, like it's like a Huey Lewis and the News song, right?
Yeah.
It's like that. It's super vibrant, super neon, high energy like that. But that's another one that's super, super dark. That's another angle in that. Like I've been doing, I guess the whole time I've been sort of writing quite dark songs, but hidden in sort of high energy funk. And then the Caveman Battle Weapons thing, I separated the two things. I separated them. One was just like explicitly dark, and one was explicitly no holds barred light. And that the Rise Up one is a different sort of version. It's basically some of the darkest lyrics that I've ever written. So grim, so hardcore, gnarly, dark, but delivered fucking hyperactively, joyously. Like some of the lyrics in there are just absolutely brutal. Like these are lyrics that I think I diffused them because I've went through notebooks of like dark times, and I've selected some of the gnarliest fucking lyrics that I could find, and then took them out and pasted them into this super happy song to sort of diffuse them, to sort of diffuse that super darkness I had.
Gives you power over them.
Yeah, to have power over them, to sort of acknowledge them, but at the same time diffuse them. Yeah. So the whole section, the section says "Rise up, rise up," and it's like a call and response. It sounds super uplifting and engaging. It's like, okay, we're gonna rise up. Everything's gonna be fine. But the rise up, what I'm saying is rise up is addressing some sort of horrible metaphysical monster from the depths of the unknown to come up and, obliterate me with its transdimensional teeth, because I don't want to exist anymore. That's going on in that song. I've forgotten about this. It's so fucking dark, but I've snuck it in the most happy song. Rise up and obliterate me. Rise up and delete me from history.
Man.
Rise up so I can be free. I don't want to cease, but to have never been.
Oh.
It's fucking heavy shit, man. That's the heaviest shit. That's what I'm saying. Like I found the heaviest shit that I wrote and put it in this ultra saccharine neon pink song, and that's what's going on there.
Do you notice quite a big difference in your songwriting voice depending on what state you're in, the upstate or the downstate?
In the downstate, I sort of struggle to really write in the downstate, but I can write things and I have thoughts, and then I then. When I've got the motivation and the energy to be artistic or creative, then that's when I'm able to draw from that and put it into. So maybe that's why the songs come out like that, because I write these gnarly fuck things, and then later on when I'm jamming out and having a good time, I'm like, what am I going to sing? Maybe some of this fucking super dark shit. That's what happened with that one. In extremity for sure. Like, my God, the lyrics of that song, I kind of wanted more people to delve into it and like try and read the lyrics, because if they get delve into the lyrics and read them, they just be like, what the fuck, man, take this guy to a hospital.
Well, it's because Rise Up in itself has got so many positive connotations.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
the
that's
idea of trying to get out of that dark place, but you've reappropriated that in a
absolutely, yeah, that's it.
the opposite direction.
I'm calling for some sort of transdimensional beast to come up from the depths. Rise up, creature,
monster.
Yeah, rise up, creature, and obliterate me from history. That's what the Rise Up's referring to. I've not thought about that song for quite some time, but thanks for reminding me about it. If your listeners haven't heard it, you should check it out. It's not on Spotify, so maybe that's why a lot of people haven't really heard it. It's just a Bandcamp YouTube thing because we recorded
Quite a good video though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool video. So check that one out if you're up for some quite explicitly extremely dark subject matter, but delivered in the most high octane stupid funk you've ever heard.
A lot of dancing as well in that video.
Yeah, a lot of dancing. Yeah. And some doom as well. I put some doom in there. Just shoehorn some
doom.
You need
a little bit of doom. Where did the phrase super solid soul vehicle come from? When did that arrive? At what point in the process?
I think it was. I think I've been toying around with that idea for some time. You know, I'm talking about the idea of it being a vehicle. The song is a vehicle for me to express myself, and that's its sole purpose is as an instrument. It's a tool. But I guess I've been thinking about that for some time. You know, like playing gigs, like pub gigs and stuff like that with a wee trio, and we were always trying to play quite gnarly, fusiony, hard stuff, or jam out some stuff that was quite technical and hard. But it wasn't really. I was having to focus too much, and I couldn't just like feel the soul and sing it. And I was like, I need something like just a super solid soul thing. You know, just like something I can sink my teeth into. Fucking 84 BPM, sink my teeth into, and just have that. And that idea. I sort of reanimated that idea after I had the sort of the Bill Withers revelation that I'd mentioned, and that's where that came from. Yeah.
How like fresh were the feelings from his passing? When you mentioned the revelation you had earlier. Was that something that came very directly after?
Well, I think it's something I had. I definitely knew that I was getting myself into like a pickle, and I was ruminating too much and overthinking some stuff and getting myself in a lot of spirals like that. And I was aware of that. I was just struggling to get out of it. That was the nature of lockdown. So I guess this is a lockdown song, but it was the nature of lockdown. I didn't have people to bounce off, and I was getting myself in that sort of pickle, but I wasn't able to pull myself out. But it was that sort of stimulus there, that thing about him playing as well as he needed to be able to play in order to have accompaniment for him to express himself through his singing, and that's why primarily I should be a singer. In fact, actually, this is cool. Right on my wall here.
Be a singer.
Yeah. That used to be a like purple pen, but it's been faded. I put that up on my wall more or less around about the same sort of time. I was just like too busy fucking making big rad, fusion arrangements, and then I was like, I'm supposed to be a fucking singer. I was just supposed to be singing. That's the main thing that I can probably give to other people, and also offer catharsis for myself is through singing. And I just wasn't doing it because I was too busy doing this other fucking bullshit arrangement. So I posted that up on the wall so I could remember, and then I wrote this song also so I could remember, and hopefully maybe it's got some sort of broader spectrum relatability for other kind of applications. Why not?
When did you find your voice as a singer?
I had a band in high school, and we had a singer, but then we got rid of the singer for whatever reason, and nobody else wanted to sing, so I was like, okay, I better sing. So then I started to sing, and it was obviously terrible. I've got CDs of it. It's pretty dire. I'll send you one, actually. I've got one of the very first CDs. I'll send you one. The band was called Irrelevant. What's the name of your band? The name of our band is Irrelevant. That was the fucking thing. So anyway, I was a singer of that, and I was sort of forced to sing, and I was all right. Then I joined the gospel choir. I joined a Glasgow gospel choir for a bit of a lark, and then I sort of found my voice there a little bit. I was like, okay, shit, I can actually sing. I guess singing in a group, there's a barrier. I believe everyone can sing, right? But there's a barrier. There's some sort of social restraint that stops them from piping up loudly in public or anything like that, and that's what holds a lot of people back. But then if it was a choir for me, the whole room of people are all singing, so then you sing and you just start belting it out. So that's where I sort of found my actual voice, and just started singing actually properly. But it's only maybe in the last 2 or 3 years that I've actually tried to have good technique. I mean, I've been always doing gigs. I was always, for the past 4 or 5 years, doing gigs or busking, and just being a whooping and hollering guy, just shouting, no technique, giving it that. But it's only the past couple of years that I've tried to delve into actual good technique, and I don't really feel silly about just calling myself primarily a singer, and like a quality with technique behind them singer. And that's cool. But yeah, I guess it was singing in a gospel choir, just for the crack. That's it. Singing as part of a group's good fun, and a big harmony group, and it's that's where I got going, I think.
Yeah, there's more of a direct structure there as well. Like what you were saying there about singing in public, there's more of a safety net almost.
Yeah, because you can hide away, and that's okay. But then that allows you to sort of emerge. Because it's I guess there's all sorts of unspoken and unconscious social barriers that you're just exploding through if you're trying to sing in public. It's I get it. I get people are reluctant to do it, and I do get that. But I guess I managed to break through that barrier some time ago, and I've forgotten what it's like. But the thought of standing up in front of people and singing is absolutely unthinkable to a lot of people, and I get that completely. It's just breaking down that barrier and then actually doing it, and then
gain a little confidence.
Yeah. But the riches that you can get from singing is definitely one of the best and most cathartic things and enjoyable and enriching things that I can do if I only allow myself to do it and don't fucking put stupid blocks in my way, which I do and have done, right? I might have got to go over the social block, but then there's some other fucking block that I could put in front of myself. So singing feels fucking good, even if you're not good at it. If you're just that release, that sort of.
That's why we sing in the shower.
Exactly, yeah. Singing in the shower, singing in the car. Boy, by the way, as soon as I got a car, I started to become significantly better at singing. There's something about singing in the car.
I think we spoke about this a little last time. I think I remember.
Yeah, it's just like the true safety. Because even in the shower, I suppose people downstairs can hear you, or whoever lives in the flat with you can hear you. But if you're in your car, you're in a soundproof booth of metal and speed. And even if anybody can hear you, you could just turn the corner away. It's that's it. So being able to break through that barrier is a very enriching and rewarding thing. And singing feels great, and I urge everyone to fucking try and do it, because it gives me a fucking lot. As I said, if I allow myself to actually do it, that's what I mean. Sometimes you just need a vehicle. You need some sort of platform to do it.
I saw a guy the other day, actually, the other week, was kind of walking past, and he drove past in his car, and he was absolutely belting out the words to something as he was going past it.
Quite right.
How would you compare the catharsis of singing against dancing? Is that a similar thing?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's a release of inhibition, isn't it? But I mean, I think maybe for many people, it's easier to express himself through dancing. I mean, I think there's a lot of technique in singing, but then to be able to really express yourself and feel that you can actually express yourself in a unique and exciting way, it takes a bit of time, a bit of more confidence. But dancing, anybody can get up and dance like right away. And it's that immediate, and then do their own move, and then that's them. It's everyone's got immediate expression of themselves available to them immediately, like that. So I think maybe, yeah, you can definitely compare them, but perhaps dancing, for those who aren't afraid of dancing, of course, because that's the thing too. I think that's perhaps a more accessible self-expression method. Dance is fucking great as well, man. Dancing is fucking great as well. This is another revelation. One of the revelations that I came to is like, well, everything's if everything's feeling fucking shit and flat and there's no experience being had, and you're like, fucking, what's the point? I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting anything from anything. Even but singing and dancing are always quite reliable, but I've sometimes realised that I haven't danced for fucking like months. Months and months and months, and because maybe there's not an opportunity for it. But if it's missing, certainly, or singing as well. If one of these things which is you take for granted, if it all of a sudden goes missing, then you don't know what's wrong, but something's missing, something's wrong, and you think, what could it be? And it might be dancing. Maybe you've not fucking danced around like a dickhead for a couple of months, right? Because the pubs or clubs haven't been open. Dancing's fucking good. An immediate inhibition, crushing, barrier destroying, genuine, instantaneous, authentic piece of human experience. And so is singing. So yeah, both of those things are in the same category, I think.
You know, when you learn those vocal techniques, so you saying a couple of years ago, you kind of started to work it in more of a conscious way.
Yeah.
Did that impact the catharsis of it at all?
Not really. Well, I mean, it allows me a little bit more of a robust set of tools to express myself, I guess. So I can do more things with more regularity than before. But I mean, it's not certainly not deflated. It's certainly that's something that can happen. I think if you learn too much theory, or you learn too much, practice an instrument too much, you can lose sight of it because you're quite intellectual elements of it. But
you're giving yourself tools to overthink.
Exactly. Oh yeah, well put, for sure. But in terms of just technique and practice, that's just musculature. That's the sort of vocal training is just to developing and strengthening the muscles that are required to do rad shit with your voice reliably and without hurting yourself. So yeah, no, it's that's that. I'd put it in a different category from like practicing an instrument or learning theory. It's just it's like if you like skateboarding or cycling, then you train your muscles to do it so you can do it more regularly and better. So yeah, I've got more tools in the bag that are available to me that I know I can pick out. And it's not just going to be like, oh, I'll try and hit this note and at 50-50, I can get it, but let's try. I can be a little bit more confident that I'll smash it out. And that's nice.
When you're jamming with the band, though, is that a conscious thing? Or does it just happen innately? Does it kind of just,
Yeah, a lot of the songs, a lot of the sort of music for the songs comes out of jamming, and certainly sometimes just jamming, making up stuff. I will also sing. I'll just make up some stuff, and that's where some songs have come out of, is just me spraffing some stuff on the spot, and that's I sort of pride myself on my ability to do that. Yeah, that's where some of the good stuff comes out for sure. But then, in terms of the actual composed songs, the songs that are actually written and made, I've kind of consciously left them kind of open ended, so I can riff a bit and I can express myself like differently every time I do it, because getting back to that same point again, it's like I think my job in this facet as a singer or in this type of music is to do unique and instantaneous expressions of fucking guts and life through singing, and if I've got something a little bit open ended and I can do a bit more riff and I can sing it differently every time or feel it differently every time, then that's what I'll do.
If it's important to leave it open ended in that department, when is resolution important in your music? And when is it important to tie something up? Oh yeah, I mean the narrative of each song remains consistent. That's told. I'm talking about melodically and just expressively. There's so many different variables that I could do differently each time I do a song, and that's a purposeful thing. It allows me to have each performance of a song be unique and instantaneous and true and its own thing every time. It's still the same song. I'm still singing the same song, but for me, I'm feeling it the same, feeling it differently and experience it differently every single time when it comes to like expressive arts of any sort. But I think being a singer that's your job, is to do that. It's kind of like what we were saying earlier when you were speaking about writing the new single, how you had to give yourself some rules before you could kind of progress with it. It's a similar thing that in order to keep the song alive, you need space, but you need to put down rules within which you can kind of
exactly. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, the opposite extreme of that, the further extreme of that is like jazz songs where super open ended. They'll have a very rough form. They'll have like a head section, and then they'll have a A and a B section, and then the whole middle of it they'll just do whatever the fuck they want, and then they'll maybe hit the head again at the end, and that's the sort of traditional way some jazz songs work. That's a situation where the boundaries, the sort of rules within which the confines in which the whole piece is put together are very loose, very open, very, very loose. And the opposite end of this scale is just like a pre-recorded piece of electronic music where there's no room for movement. It's completely closed, and that's fine too. So yeah, we're some point closer, I guess, closer to jazz on that scale. But they've most certainly not jazz. I couldn't hold my head up and say yes, this is jazz, because I wouldn't get away with it. But certainly there's it's on the more expressive part. I think that's what soul singing is. If I can hopefully maybe I can claim that or close to that. Hopefully I can claim that without too much embarrassment. But in that realm, I think it's the singer's freedom there. Singer's freedom to give it melody and express each and every time a valuable, instantaneous slice of true humanity, right?
I mean, what you've just been saying there about jazz, you can kind of apply that to a lot of things. There's a parallel between what we've just been doing. Like, we've got a new single that we need to speak about, but within the context of that, we can kind of talk about whatever we want to, and the conversation can go wherever it pleases. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So what we are doing right now, I suppose, is jazz, kind of verbal jazz. Whereas if we were rehearsing a play, that would be a play, wouldn't it? Sorry, I lost it. Forget it.
I was reading an interview with Kanye today, actually, where he said that he believes that conversation is the weakest form of communication, and that non-verbal form of communication is far more powerful. True?
I mean, you could argue that is a valid point. I don't think Kanye probably backed it up with any sort of robust reasoning or argument. He probably just said it and then moved on to something else.
Well, he's got a mind that's kind of going like that.
That's it. You know, it's scattergun. You know, I've got time for Kanye. I'm not a guy who thinks Kanye's fucking completely off his nut and has nothing to say. He's got a lot of things to say, but he's got 100 other things that are he's got one or two and 100 things he says are probably genius, and the rest are fucking absolute fucking nonsense tripe, right? But that's fine. That's fine because that's the way it works. He's making calls, like I was talking about before. It's like artistic thing is just making a call, making a decision on something, and then just being confident and moving on. That's what he's doing every 2 seconds with a fucking mad idea, bullshit, genius, bullshit, genius. You know what I mean? I think there's something there. Yeah, but I found them very hard to like. You had the Joe Rogan podcast with him. I found it very hard to list to all that. And I was just like, fucking, had enough. It's exhausting. But
maybe the reason he muses upon that with conversation is because you're saying there, like, his ratio is 2 good ideas out of 100 in conversation. Whereas musically, it's probably the other way around, though. Musically, there's 2 bad ideas out of 100.
Well, I mean, we don't know what he hasn't released. You know what I mean?
That's a fair point.
I think his output is probably vast, and what you hear is like the good stuff, the cream of the crop. Although saying that, some of the stuff he does release is fucking tripe. A lot of it is great and genius, and I'm into that. I can get behind. Genius is getting chucked around a lot with him, but I can get behind it with some of it. It is pioneering good work, and that's important. But some of it's fucking tripe, isn't it? I mean that Jesus is Lord album, the blue one, is that what it's called? The most recent one. I mean that wasn't. I don't think that was a good record.
I
mean,
know.
who the fuck am I to say? Who am I to say? You know,
I think it's difficult because it's so short. Like, I think if you put that out as an EP, that's a really solid kind of statement and body of work. It's just not. It doesn't have what we've come to expect from him as an album, because usually his things are kind of so vast and big, kind of grand statements, and this is a little bit more concise. But it's still kind of saying, I don't know.
I thought it was alright. I like it's good because of all the sick choir action, right? But that's it's hard to really say that that's him. That's his input, other than saying, all right, I want a choir here, and then says to someone, sort me out a choir, and not like all those sick arrangements, all those choir arrangements. Like, he's not done them. That's somebody else's art.
He's always kind of worked like that though, with like 20 writers on every song.
Yeah, no, but for the vast majority, I think he certainly produces a lot of it. But when it comes to the good bit about that record, is that there's super sick choir arrangements, and it might as well be a choir album, which Kanye has commissioned and then put his name on. You know what I mean? And then some like fucking dodgy raps over. Anyway, I don't really know a great deal about Kanye. I feel like I'm unqualified here, but old Kanye is good.
No, it's interesting.
old Kanye is good.
You think of him more as a designer than someone who's kind of making everything straight from the off, or almost like an architect or an assembler. The way that you're saying that he's able to pluck ideas from and kind of assemble everyone creatively together.
Well, I think in that. Some of the projects, but I, as far as I'm aware, he still makes a lot of his beats. Although I really don't know what the fuck I'm talking about with Kanye. But I think I don't know what he is now. He is prolific. He makes a lot of stuff, and he also says he's going to release lots of albums and doesn't, and that's become like a meme, hasn't it? Are you a Kanye guy? Are you all up in the Kanye action or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of peak Kanye. Like, when I was growing up, he was dropping some of his best work as I was a teenager. Like, I'm 19, so like when I'm kind of going into high school, you've got kind of Yeezus and stuff coming out, and then Life of Pablo comes out when you're kind of halfway through, and then Ye and stuff kind of comes out towards the tail end. It's quite a good period to kind of grow up with.
That's sort of that's where you lost me. I'm significantly, I guess I'm a bit older, but I guess if I'm anywhere in the Kanye realm, it's the old Kanye realm.
Slightly less poppy and kind of more, he's got the beat and then he's kind of going over the top of it.
Yeah, although what's Life of Pablo, I think was good. That was alright, but that was because he was getting back to the old. He even had a wee rap. It was I like
the old Kanye.
Yeah. That's it. I hate the new Kanye. Yeah, the bad mood Kanye. Something Kanye. Yeah. The old Kanye, the cut up the soul Kanye, and I'm like, I really like that because I was listening to that. I was like, yeah, that's me. I like that. I like the fucking when he did all the cut up soul stuff, and that's cool. But then I'm not really.
I think that was a freestyle as well, wasn't it?
Maybe. I mean, he's definitely fucking talented. He's definitely completely off his nut. A genius and also arguably a fucking idiot. All of those three things at once.
Do you need all three to be creative?
Well, yes, maybe. I mean, yeah, I would definitely call myself an idiot and an artist. I don't know if I can call myself a genius. That's not for me.
We were actually speaking about, on the first point there, we were speaking about this on the podcast the other day, where in every creative pursuit there's almost like an element of self-delusion. Like, in order to think that you're going to be one of the people who has a chance of having some success with this, you have to kind of, I don't know, fake it until you make it. It's that whole idea, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Although it's hard to really judge because I feel like I'm at a point where I've got so much of my identity wrapped up in this daft wee musical project that is now intertwined, and I've confused it, and they're inexorably linked forever. So the line of faking it and making it has become so blurred that I don't even know what's real and who I am and what year is it and who's the president.
Does that not make your music more honest though?
I don't know anymore. It's basically, I mean, definitely one of the interesting thoughts I've had, and I've fucking got a song about this as well. That sort of thought is like, okay, so people like that song. And then, okay, we got some modest good success out of that song. So maybe I should just make all my songs absolutely fucking Raj Daft songs. Is that, maybe that's who I am? Maybe that's what I'm supposed to do, right? So there's definitely an element of that in there. Like you question, okay, so accidentally leverage too much of yourself on you know the whether certain works you've done have been well received or not, you know. So yeah, maybe I'll just make all my songs from now on will be about wrestlers because everyone liked that one. You know, that's the vibe.
But I would argue that what you have taken from that song is the idea of continuing what you're trying to say into the music video.
Yeah,
that was largely in part responsible for why that song took off, and that's a very positive aspect that you've taken and kind of continued with your work.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, that's a very important song. I definitely still like it a lot, and it's an important song as well. It's an important song as an instance of fun and having a good time and not being serious. And I think that's an intrinsically important part of life too. So even though it's not necessarily about any sort of super deep gnarly shit, it kind of is, because that light-hearted fun is vastly important, and perhaps more important than any other really consideration is just fucking having some fun. So yeah, I'm sticking with it. I like it.